Hello everyone, this is Nupur Sharma and today I am going to start chapter 1 of class 7, that is Equality in Indian Democracy, on equality. So we will start with few topics. I will tell you what all we are going to study in this chapter. These are the topics which we will be studying. First we will study the introduction part, what equality is. Then we will study about equality and its various forms. Then we will study about story of Om Prakash Valmiki and Mr. and Mrs. Ansari. Then importance of recognizing dignity. Our next topic will be equality in Indian democracy, and under this we will also read about the midday meal scheme and issues of equality in other democracies. So first of all, when we talk about democracy, like India is a democratic country. What do we mean by democratic country? The country in which we people have the right to elect our representatives. We select our representatives on the basis of whatever work they are doing. Means we people have the right to elect our own representatives. We can give vote and then we can elect our representatives. So the country in which people can elect and select their own representatives is known as a democratic country. Now, when we talk about equality, so if we see what our Indian Constitution says on equality, our Indian Constitution says that each person gets equal rights. This is what according to our Constitution. But do you think that in every aspect each and every person is getting equal right? No. We will read about it, we will see how in every aspect there are few things in which we can see that there is differentiation in equality, distinction between the people on the basis of their caste, race, religion, all these things. There is a differentiation. We are not treating people equally, although we are saying that we must treat everyone equally, we must see everyone as equal, but people are not actually doing that. This is what our Constitution tells us to do. Further, we will also see that education facility, if we talk about the education facility in a government school and education facility in a private school, again here we can see the difference. Now see, we are talking about equality, but there is a difference in the education policies and the education facilities given in a government school and education provided in a private school. So again there is a differentiation in both. Now we will start with the story of a domestic worker whose name was Kanta. So we will see in this story how people are treated unequally on the basis of rich or poor. So Kanta is a domestic worker. Domestic workers are those like maids who work in our homes. So they are the domestic workers. Kanta is a domestic worker. It is the day of election and people are going to cast their vote. So when we see, when people go to cast their vote, they stand in a line. And when we see that line, we can see that each category of person is standing in the same line to cast their vote. There will be a teacher, there will be a student, a doctor, an engineer, domestic workers, whosoever is there. So if the people are going to cast their vote, there won't be any separate line. Like if somebody is of low caste, that person will stand in different line, or if somebody is rich or poor, they will stand in different line. No, it is not like that. So when people are going to cast their vote, they all have to stand in a common line. So here when we talk about Kanta, Kanta is a domestic worker who works in Mr. Jain's house. So when she was going to cast her vote, she was with her friend, and she saw that Mr. Jain is also standing in the same line. So she talks about it to her friend and says that, see, we people are all equal, we all are standing in same line. I am also standing in the same line, and Mr. Jain, the Jain Sahab, where she was working, he is also standing in the same line. So she feels very good, yes, that we all are treated very equally. It is not that if he is rich, so he will come in front and vote first. I was standing in the first position, so I will be here only and I will vote first. So on this aspect, she feels that yes, we all are treated equally. So she goes and casts her vote, and when she was returning back, so Jain Sahab said, okay, we'll see at home. Now, while returning home, Kanta was talking to her friend and told her that my daughter Gudiya is suffering from fever and I have to take her to the hospital. When she reaches home, she talked to her daughter Gudiya and said that you have to sit like this for some time, because right now I have to go to work to Mr. Jain's house, and there I will talk about my salary in advance. When they will give me my salary in advance, then only I will be able to take you to the hospital. So we'll go to doctor in the evening. So she goes to her work to Mr. Jain's house. While she was going, she was thinking about certain things. Few things came into her mind, Kanta's mind. What all she was thinking? She was thinking that my daughter Gudiya, she falls sick very often. Why? The reason was because the basti in which they were living, the conditions of that was not very good, means it was not kept in a hygienic way. It was not so clean. So she was thinking while going to her work that the basti in which we are living is not very clean. That's why my daughter is falling sick very often. And if I see the children of Jain Sahab, they won't feel sick very often because they are living in a basti which is in a clean area. They are living in a hygienic place. So when she reaches to her workplace, the madam, means Mrs. Jain over there, she says, Kanta, you have to clean all the corners also very nicely. So she talked about her salary in advance. So Mrs. Jain say, okay, this time I will give you the salary in advance, but don't make it a habit. So she says, okay ma'am. So when she returned home, she took her daughter, and when she was taking her daughter to the hospital, there again they have to stand in a line and they have to wait for the doctor. So she said to her daughter, okay, we have to wait for some more time, we have to stand in this line. When our number will come, then only we can see the doctor. Again, now at that point, she recalls the moment when she was standing in the line of that, when they were going to cast vote. So when she was standing in that line, all the people were standing in the common line. But now she thinks that when I am standing here in the line of the hospital, so she thinks about Mr. Jain, that if it would be their family or if it would be their children, they won't have to stand like this in a line, because they have money. They would have go to a private hospital and would have take the medicine, met the doctor very easily. So here you can see the difference in both the situation. In one situation, all the people, teacher, student, home worker, and every person is standing in the common line when they are going to cast their vote. But when we see in this case, when she is standing near the hospital, she has to again wait because she is poor. So this is one differentiate which we see, that here people are not treated equally. So if we talk about a domestic worker who will go to a government hospital and a person having money, Mr. Jain was an industrialist. So a person having money will see a private doctor and can easily get the number and can easily get the treatment done. So we are talking about equality, but here we can see that equality is not there. So similarly, this was the case when we talk about the rich and the poor. We have more cases where we can discuss the equality on the basis of caste also. We will see the further stories, like story of Om Prakash Valmiki and Mr. and Mrs. Ansari. There we will see how this equality, we can see the difference which we can see that people are treated unequally. We will see in these two stories. Now, the other thing is equal right to vote. Just now as we talked about that when the people were standing to cast vote, there were people of each and every category. That means that each and every adult means above the age of 18 years. So every adult has the right to give vote. Why only adults have the right to give vote? Because the government's perspective is that till the age of 18, people are not enough mature to decide whom to give their votes. So it is necessary for every person to be an adult first, and then only they are allowed to give their votes. So here we can see the people have equal right to vote. It is not that a person, if he is poor, he can't vote, or a person who is of lower caste will not be able to vote. No. The people belonging to each and every caste, following each and every religion, they all have the equal right to vote. Now, this equal right to vote, which we are talking about, that each and every adult has the equal right to vote, is known as universal adult franchisee. This is an important term. Universal adult franchisee means that every individual who is above 18 has the equal right to give their votes. Now, other kinds of equality if we will talk about, people in democratic India may have the right to vote, but they are not treated equally in each and every basis. Right to vote if we talk about, then they have equal right, but they don't have equal rights in every other thing. No. The people are discriminated on the basis of rich and poor, upper and lower caste, and inequality on the basis of religion is also there. People are highly divided despite being treated equally under the constitution. We will read about it by the story of Om Prakash Valmiki. First we will see the story of Om Prakash Valmiki. Om Prakash Valmiki was a Dalit writer. Now this term Dalit which I am using, Dalit means broken, and this belongs to the people of lower caste. So the people belonging to lower caste, they call them by this name Dalit, because they think that they are broken from inside because of the discrimination they have been facing by the people. People are discriminating them on each and every level. So they feel very broken from inside, and that is why the people belonging to the lower caste, they call themselves as Dalit. So this person, Om Prakash Valmiki, he is a Dalit writer belonging to a lower caste. We'll see what happens to him, what happened in his story. He has written an autobiography of himself, which is named Jutan. An autobiography of Om Prakash Valmiki, name is Jutan. In this autobiography, he has written his experience, how he was discriminated among the other children in his school time. So he used to study in a village area, rural area in this school, and in that school the other students were also studying. Now, what happened with him in this school? When he went to school, because he belonged to a lower caste, he was treated differently from other students. How he was treated differently? The others were used to sit on the mat, but he was told to sit on the floor. Many a times he used to sit beside each and every person at the complete back of the classroom, or sometimes his teachers made him sit near the door side so that he may remain outside and only could listen to whatever is being taught from outside only, and they didn't wanted him to be inside the classroom. This is what the teacher's behavior was towards Om Prakash Valmiki. Can you imagine a teacher doing this thing to a student? Then when he was in class 4, a child of class 4, very tender age, when he was in class 4, the headmaster of the school told him to sweep the floor and to clean the playground. Can you imagine a child of a tender age sweeping the floor of all the school, complete school, and cleaning the whole playground? This was told by the headmaster to Om Prakash Valmiki. He was doing all that work. So one day what happened? He has been doing all this work for so long. One day what happened? His father was passing by and he saw his child doing these all work. He felt very angry, very bad. He talked to the headmaster and told him, since you are the headmaster, you are the teacher, so I won't say a lot to you, but my child is coming here to study. My child is not coming to school to do all these work. So he will study here and he will not do all these work. Which was a good thing that his father spoke to the headmaster that my child will not sweep the floors and he will not clean the playground. Instead, he is coming here to study. So my child will study in your school only. So this was the step taken by his father. So do you see why the teachers and the headmasters were behaving in this way? Because he belonged to a low caste. Just this was the reason that he was treated in a different way from all the other students. So he has written his experience in his book Jutan. The other story we will see of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari. Now this example of Om Prakash Valmiki was again the people were treated unequally on the basis of their caste. Right. The story which we heard first, that was on the basis of rich and poor, the other story on the basis of caste. Now the third story, that is of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari, that is on the basis of religion, how people are treating or discriminating people on the basis of their religion. We will read about that story. This is a story of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari. They were Muslims. Now, the case of Om Prakash Valmiki was of village area, rural area. Now, if we only say, or if we only think that these kind of discrimination is only done in the villages or in the rural areas where people are not more educated, so no, we are wrong. These cases are even seen in the cities. Now, this case of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari is of a city. What happens now? Mr. and Mrs. Ansari, they came to a city. They were searching for an apartment to rent. So they hired a contractor. They talked to a contractor who took him to the people, and so that they can buy an apartment. So when the contractor took him to the other people, so they liked one apartment. It was very good, and they finalized that apartment. They said, okay, this apartment is good for us and we will live. The owner also agreed to give them the apartment. He said, okay, if you like it, you can take it, only till the time they tell their name. As they spoke their name, that they are Ansaris, the owner, his complete mood was changed, and now he didn't wanted to give the apartment for rent to these Ansaris, because what was coming into his mind? They are Muslims. Now see, here this religious factor came into the owner's mind, and he didn't wanted to give the apartment for rent to a Muslim. He wanted to give the apartment for rent to a person belonging to his own religion. So he started making very unusual excuses, and he said that no, I won't be able to give this apartment for rent. And the reason what he gave was that you people eat meat, and nobody over here eats meat. He gave this excuse. And at the same moment, Mr. and Mrs. Ansari could smell the fish. In somebody's house, fish was cooking. They could smell that nearby only somebody is cooking fish. And maybe the owner himself eat non-veg, but at that moment, just to refuse them to give that apartment, he said that we can't allow a person or people who eat non-veg to live in this apartment. He started making these excuses. So after searching for a long while, they kept searching for the other apartments, but each and everywhere they faced the same thing, that people were not agreed to rent their apartment to these Ansaris. After some time, the contractor, now see what the contractor said. The contractor said that you people can do one thing, since you want the apartment for rent, you can change your surname so that you can easily get the apartment. Now this hurt their dignity. In the next topic, we will read about the importance of recognizing dignity. So at that moment, when the contractor said that if you want to live, if you want to get an apartment, you need to change your surname. This hurt their dignity, and they felt that why? Why should we change our surname just because people are not treating us equally as they are? What they think, that they are superior, we are inferior. No, we will not change our surname. If people are not accepting us like this, if being Ansaris, that's their problem, that's not our problem. So they decided not to change their surname, but it really hurted their dignity, that being Ansaris, being Muslim, what was wrong in being of other religion, for practicing other religion? So here, see, this is equality on the basis of religion. We can see that people are being discriminated on the basis of their religion as well. So these are the three stories in which we saw that in one we see that people were discriminated on the basis of rich and poor, in the other story on the basis of upper and lower caste, and this on the basis of their religion. So these are the different things in which our society people are doing. Our Indian constitution says to treat everyone equally, to see everybody as equal, but people living in our society, they are not able to do that. They are not able to admit that yes, we all are equal, we all are equal. They can't think of that. They treat people unequally and they discriminate. If we also talk about the marriages, so when people are searching for a girl or a boy for their sons or daughters' marriage, in that case also you will find that people seek for a person who belongs to their own caste. They don't want to get their child married to a person of different caste. maybe they think that we are superior, or maybe sometimes they would think that we are inferior. So they won't allow their child to marry a person belonging to a different caste. So these all things, also today also we can see these things in our society. The mentality of the people, the mental aspect of the people, it is not changing. They are same, and their mentality is same, that no, caste, different caste we will not accept, and this and that. So we saw 3 cases over here. Now the next thing we'll see is importance of recognizing dignity. Right now I told you, like Ansaris felt their dignity were hurt, that why should we change our surname. So dignity here means the self-respect. If you will not respect your own self, how you will expect the others to respect you? So that is what self-respect, dignity is. Now the reason behind the unequal treatment: caste, religion and background. Somebody is rich, somebody is poor, somebody is of upper caste, somebody is of lower caste. These are the certain reasons. When people are treated unequally, their dignity is violated. So if you will treat people not in an equal manner, definitely their dignity will be violated, their dignity will be hurt, their self-respect will be hurt, because they would feel that they are not equivalent to you people, so definitely they will feel hurt about it. Due to this, one feels as if people is less than equal. Everybody deserves the same respect in the society, each and every person, whether rich or poor, whether belonging to upper or lower caste, whether belonging to different race, each and every person must be treated equally. We must not think of a person that, oh, it's of lower caste, we will not talk to that person or something like that. We must see everybody as equal as us. Next topic is equality in Indian democracy. In the beginning, as we talked about the democracy, a democratic country where we have the right to choose our own representatives, that is a democratic country. India is a democratic country because we are choosing people, representatives on our own, whom we want to be elected as our president or prime minister or chief minister, whosoever. So it is our choice. So this is a democratic country. The Indian constitution recognizing every person as equal. So as we say that Indian constitution is recognizing every person as equal, but the society, the other people, they are not treating people equally in different manners. Equality of all person is recognized in democratic India, and earlier there was no law existed to protest people against discrimination and ill treatment. Earlier there was no, like constitution came in 1950. So before the constitution came, there was no law of treating people equally. After the constitution was applied, then the constitution said that every person should be treated equally. But before our constitution came, there was no such law that each and every person will be treated equally. Now every person is equal before the law, and no person can discriminate on the basis of religion, race, caste and background or gender. Every person should have an equal access to all the public places. It is not that in any public place a lower caste person can't go, or any public place like roads, if we see, temples, roads. These are some public places, the parks. We can't say that a lower caste person or a poor person is not allowed to enter a temple or is not allowed to walk on the common road where the others are walking. No, we can't say this because our constitution sees everybody as equal. So each and every person, of course you can't enter anybody's private property, you can't enter anybody's house that we are equal. That is their private property. You can't enter anybody's private property, but of course public property, all have the same right, equal right to enter on the public property. It is not that any person belonging to different caste or different religion or different background or gender, they can't enter on the common park or temple or road. Now there are two ways through which government tries to implement the equality that is guaranteed in the constitution are through laws, which is banning untouchability. Earlier, before the constitution, there was untouchability, means people belonging to upper caste had problem in touching the people belonging to a lower caste. So that was untouchability. They didn't want to touch the things which the lower caste person is touching. Like if we suppose take example of a village, if in a village there is a well, so in that well So if the lower caste person is coming and taking out water from that well, so the person belonging to the upper caste, he or she won't like to use the common well which a lower caste person is using. So this is what untouchability was. They didn't wanted to touch a person belonging to a lower caste. So after our constitution came, this law passed that untouchability was banned by the government. Then through government programs or schemes like midday meal scheme, government also introduced some schemes so that this inequality ends up, like midday meal scheme. So we'll read about this midday meal scheme and what are the benefits which came out, which were seen through these midday meal scheme. Government program to ensure equality. Government is working on each and every time to ensure that each and every person is treated equally, and they are working through some programs and introducing some new schemes. So one of that is midday meal scheme. Under this program, free cooked food which was free of cost, no money was given, is being provided to children in the government school, government elementary school. So free cooked food was provided to the children in government elementary school. Now what were the benefits that took place because of this midday meal scheme? That we will read. Supreme Court, now this midday meal scheme, this started at Tamil Nadu first. Tamil Nadu started this scheme first, and in 2001, Supreme Court asked all state government to begin this scheme because they saw many benefits which were seen in the school through this scheme. So the Supreme Court also asked the other state government to work on this scheme and introduce this scheme on the government school. Now it has many positive impacts. Many poor children, those who are very poor, were not getting food at their places, they started enrolling in the schools. This was the first benefit, that the poor school belonging to the same village where the government schools were there, they were not coming to the school because of the fees, and at home also they were not able to get proper meal. So they started enrolling themselves in the school just because of midday meal scheme, because it was in their mind that if we will go to school, we will get the free food. So because of this scheme, they started enrolling themselves. Earlier, children have to go home for their lunch. Earlier in these government, see what happens in our school is that you come at 8 o'clock and the school, then around 10:30 or 11 you get your lunch time. You have your lunch, and after that again the classes starts, and around 2 o'clock your school ends. But in the schools, in rural areas or in villages, the government school, what is the rule over there? They come around 10 o'clock and the classes begins around 1 o'clock, they get the lunch time, and again the classes continue around 3:30 or 4 the school goes on. So earlier what used to happen was, when the students used to came, the children used to came in the morning 10 and study, and they used to go for lunch to their homes. They used to tell their teachers that now is our lunch time, and because they used to live nearby only, so they were allowed to go to their homes for having their lunch. Now what happened? They go to have their lunch, but they didn't return back to school. It was like a half day for them. Now when this scheme, the midday meal scheme, was introduced, what benefit this gave? That now the lunch was provided to everyone in the school. Now the children were not allowed to go to their home to have lunch. Now they were not able to make this excuses that we need to go home for our lunch, because the school was providing lunch over there only. So what happened because of this? The students were having lunch over there, and in continuity they could be there in the school from 10 to 4 o'clock. The next thing what happened, the impact what it gave, attendance of the children improved. That's very obvious. When the children were coming because of food, we say because of food, they came to know that midday meal scheme is there, will be getting food. They came to school, they enrolled themselves. But by enrolling, even if they enrolled because of food, they were also studying there, because sitting in a class and listening to the teacher, at least something was getting into their mind. They were becoming educated. So they were coming to school, the attendance improved. And earlier their mothers had to leave their work to feed their children, because when this scheme was not there, the children used to come back at home for lunch, and the mothers, because they were poor, they were working at some places, they have to come from their workplace to feed their children, to give them lunch. So as this scheme came, now it was no need for the mothers to leave their work and come to feed their children, because now they were getting the food there only. One more thing what happened was, the poor women who were unemployed, they also get employment in these government school. How they were employed? By they were given the duty of cooking the food. So they gave employment to the mothers as well. One very important thing which happened during this time was the inequality on the basis of upper and lower caste which was going on, that was really affected. How it was affected? Because now the women which were employed for cooking the food, they were belonging to both upper and lower caste, and the students who were studying over there, they were also belonging to both upper and lower caste. So they were all sitting together having food. The food was cooked by the women of lower caste. So see, this thing completely mixed up. Now there was no such thing that belonging to upper caste, lower caste, or any discrimination was not there. Each and every child was sitting together, whether he is belonging to upper caste or lower caste, and the food which was cooked by a lower caste women. So employment was also there. So these were so many benefits which took place because of this midday meal scheme. It helped to reduce the hunger of poor students, and Dalit women also were given the employment. Midday meal scheme played very important role. Now, but still there are many challenges in equality. We can't just say that just because of this midday meal scheme and just because the constitution says that each and every person must be treated equally, we can't say that equality challenge has finished. No. Equality is facing challenges each and every day. New challenges are there. Difference between the schools attended by the rich and poor children. There is a lot of difference between the facilities provided in the school where is a rich child is studying and where a poor child is studying. They both have differentiate in the facilities. Discrimination on the basis of caste, it still exists. As I told you that in the cases of marriage, the people consider the bride or groom to be of their own caste. So this caste differentiation, the discrimination is still there in the society. Discrimination is there, and then attitude of the people is changing very slowly. When we talk about this marriage thing, about the caste, so there are few people whose attitude has changed regarding this caste, and they think, okay, no matter if the other person is belonging to different caste, we can allow the marriage to be there. But this attitude is changing very slowly in the people in our society. We can't say that very quickly they are accepting everything. No, it is taking so much of time to change. Now, issues of equality in other democracy. Till now we were talking about our Indian democracy. Now we will talk about the issues of equality in other democracies. Only India is not a democratic country. Other countries are also there who are democratic, who are not having any king or queen as their rulers. So we will read about an issue of United States of America, USA, how there we will see that inequality, we will see a part of inequality. Struggle against inequality is not limited to India. It is seen in other countries as well, like USA. And you see, USA is the oldest democratic country. India became later, but USA is the oldest democratic country, but still there were inequality. African American faced huge inequality. Now, who were these African Americans? African Americans were like when the slavery thing was there, so these Africans were brought to America and made slaves. Africans were made slaves and then they were brought to America. When the democracy came, then no slavery was there, but this thing didn't went out from the people's mind that the African Americans, means people belonging to Africa but living in America now, and their forefathers were brought up to America as slaves. Forefathers, but they are not the slaves, because now they are living in a democratic country and they are not the slaves. But the mentality of the people, we talked about it earlier also, that the mentality of the people never changes so quickly. So the mentality of the people living in America, the people living in America were white, and these African Americans, their color was black. So the people living in America had that thought in their mind that these African Americans are the slaves because their forefathers were slaves. So they also considered them as slaves. They didn't consider them equal to themselves. Now, what were the problems faced by these African Americans in America? African Americans were treated extremely unequally in the United States and derived equality through law. We'll read about one more story in which we'll see how they were treated unequally. This is the story of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was also an African American woman. She was black and she also faced this, and because of her, civil rights movement started. How it started, we'll read about it. So we'll read about the inequality faced by the African Americans in America, and we will see this with the story of Rosa Parks, who was an African American. We'll see what happened there. In USA there was a system. What was the system? That if white person sit in the bus, then the black person, either the black person has to stand or sit at the back side, back of the bus. They were not allowed to sit with the whites, or if the white person is coming in the bus, so they were not allowed to sit with them, or even if there is no space in the bus, so they had to stand. The blacks has to stand. So this was the system in America which was going, this discrimination was going on, that whites have more priority than the blacks. Now one day what happened, these whites were considered very superior and the blacks were considered inferior, because it was in their mind that their forefathers were the slaves, so they treated them also as the slaves. Now one day Rosa Parks, who was an African American, she was coming from work and she was feeling very tired. She was very tired. She entered a bus and she sit in the front seat. So in some time a white came and she refused to stand up and leave her seat, because they were so fed up of their thinking that why, if their forefathers were the slaves, so they are not the slaves, why are they considered as the slaves? Why they are treated so unequally? Why the blacks are considered as inferiors? So all these things were running on in her mind. So she refused the white person to leave her seat. She said, no, I will not leave my seat. You can also sit at the back. Why should always we leave our seat and sit at the back? Or why should always we stand leaving our seats for you whites? So she completely refused to leave her seat. With this, in 1955, this thing started. She got against the whites and refused. So now her refusal started a huge agitation. The people who were belonging to black, those who were African American, they also supported Rosa Parks, and the agitation began, which led to the Civil Rights Act, which was passed in 1964. So the Civil Rights Act was passed by the government in 1964. It was passed means now, after this law passed, the whites and the blacks were considered as equal, and few changes came. What happened? The Civil Rights Act of 1964. It was against the discrimination. Government passed the law against the agitation showed by Rosa Parks and other African Americans. Discrimination on the basis of race, religion, caste was prohibited. Now nobody was allowed to discriminate the person belonging to other caste or religion. And according to this act, schools were open for both blacks and whites. Earlier, the blacks, the African Americans, they used to go in different schools, and the whites, the citizen of American, they used to go in different schools. But after this Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964, the laws changed, and now the schools were open for both blacks and whites. Now they both were allowed to enroll in the same school. This all was done to ensure equality by the government, and despite all this inequality exists in America. Even after all this Civil Rights Act and everything, still the inequality exists in America. How? Because the most African American, they are poor and the Americans are rich, and African American students attend government school, and the American students, they attend a highly paid government school or private school. So this difference, this inequality is still seen in America between the blacks and the whites, that they are still poor, and the Americans, the citizen of American, they are rich as compared to the African Americans, and they are going to government school, and the Americans are going to a highly paid government schools or the good one, private schools. This is still there. Now our last topic is the challenge of democracy. We say that we talk about equality, inequality, democracy. Now there are few challenges faced by the government in our democratic India. See, people always need more. People are never satisfied with what they have. If I learn to ride a bicycle, I will demand for a scooty. If I learn scooty, I will demand for a car. so my demands will keep on increasing. Same is with the people of our country. Their demands keep on increasing. The untouchability was banned, so the other things came upon. Then they were also solved, then the other things came. So like this, each and every time the country, the democracy is facing one or the other challenges. No country can be described in being completely democratic. No country. Individual try to expand the idea of democracy and push for a greater recognition of equality on various issues. People are not satisfied that yes, whatever we got, okay, we got the same position or we are being treated equally. They are not satisfied with that. They want that they should be taken to more higher place. So this is always a demand of the society. Main struggle is for the recognition of all persons as equal and for others, and dignity is to be maintained. Each and every person wants that their dignity, their self-respect should be maintained. Each and every person should be treated equally. So with this we cover up all the main topics of the chapter on equality in Indian democracy. Thank you everyone. We will see you in next class.